Welcome back to the Fly With Her podcast. I'm your host, Maya.
I'm Tana. We're so excited to have you here with us for another episode.
Today's guest discovered her passion for flying early on, earning her helicopter private pilot's license at just 19 years old, before going on to achieve her fixed wing PPL a few years later.
Since then, she served as a Department of Transport Aviation Ambassador and founded Innovate Her Aviation, a global community dedicated to educating, informing, and inspiring women in aviation and female pilots.
With members in 144 countries and a growing team of 35, her impact on the aviation community has been remarkable.
Katherine, we're so excited to have you here with us today. Welcome to the Fly With Her podcast.
My goodness, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I mean, what an intro. I'll try and live up to it. But no, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk with you both.
Thank you. So, Katherine, take us back to your first child flight. What was the experience like? When did you realize that aviation was for you?
Yeah, so although I did get my PPL quite young, I actually never thought aviation was for me. I never considered going into the industry while I was at school or anything like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of visibility of female role models at the time. I never really saw anyone that any women that I knew in aviation and thought that could be for me. And it's funny actually, because when I was at school, we did quite extensive aptitude testing. And in our last year, when it came back, mine actually suggested that I apply to the RAF as a pilot. And I literally took it and threw it in the bin. I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I just didn't relate to this kind of maverick type person that I had in my head. And I was like, that's not me. So I left school, didn't go to uni, went and did some other jobs. And it wasn't until I started picking and packing in a warehouse for Transair flight equipment that I kind of became a little bit interested in aviation. My dad is into aviation. He's got an aviation company. He's a pilot himself, but it wasn't anything that I just didn't see myself doing it. I was always like, that's dad's thing. It's not for me. So it wasn't until I actually started working in aviation that my curiosity was piqued. And that's because I was handling all these different items every day. I was speaking with pilots and getting to know people. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I should just give it a try. This looks really, really fun. And I was based on the airport at the time, was watching all the aircraft fly, and I was just really curious. So I spoke to my dad and I said, what do I do with this curiosity, And he said, well, why don't you just go and get a trial flight? And that's exactly what I did. There was helicopter flight school on the airfield. I thought that looked really cool. I had absolutely zero intention of taking it any further than that one flight. I thought this would be a great experience. It will, help me learn more about the industry, and that we'll call it a day. But that flight literally changed the whole course of my life. As soon as I had to go on the controls, I was like, why did I not think this was for me? Why didn't I see myself in this space? And yeah, as soon as I landed, committed to doing my flight training.
That's a really incredible journey. I had no idea that you previously thought that aviation wasn't for you because of misconceptions that you had and the stereotypes. That's really, really cool. Do you find that maybe a lot of girls have that notion of aviation is not for them? It's very male dominated, very masculine. It's for those maverick type of guys and not for me. Do you find that with young girls?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's never been emphasized more than, my work with Elevate Her, and seeing that every day, speaking to women, speaking to young girls, and they just still don't see this as a space for them. I do think it's changing. And I do think with social media, I think that's going to have the biggest impact on what the industry looks like in the next 5, 10, 15 years, to be honest, because I think now there's an option for people to see, others like themselves in the industry and, consume that content and learn more about the industry as well. So I do think it's changing, but yeah, it's still so prevalent in the industry for sure.
That's powerful that you're seeking to change that narrative that particularly young girls have about aviation. That's really, really cool. And we'll touch on more about your work with Elevate Her Aviation later. But I just quickly want to ask about you achieving your PPL, which you did achieve at 19 years old, which is absolutely incredible. What kept you motivated and committed to your dream of flying at such a young age?
Yeah, so I actually think this is a really lovely question. For me, I started my flight training at 18. I did go to obviously school and was in sixth form and then didn't go to uni. And for me, that was actually quite a pivotal point in my development as a person. And when I was 18, and even before then, I was pretty shy and lacked quite a lot of confidence. So for me, starting my flight training was by far the biggest mental challenge I'd ever come up against. And actually trusting and believing myself was something that I really struggled with at the time. Um, and I think it probably had the biggest impact on me as a person. It completely changed who I was. I learned to believe in myself. I learned to really trust my instincts. And confidence, I believe, is something that you earn. It's not something that's given to you. And that really changed my whole kind of perception on what I thought was possible for myself. And yeah, it's had a huge impact on me. I think, flight training is, yes, of course, you're learning new skills. You're doing something that's, amazing. Like to fly is just unbelievable. It's almost impossible. It's incredible. And, you know, it's so much more than that. It's discovering who you are as a person. It's learning more about yourself and learning what you can potentially achieve. And that it gave me all of that. And I'll forever be grateful to aviation for giving me that gift.
I think that's the beautiful thing about flying is that you learn so much more about yourself. Obviously, other than learning about the aircraft, learn so much more about yourself and how you develop throughout the years of flying. Yeah, I think that's just the best part of it, honestly.
I would like to touch on what you mentioned about confidence. I totally resonate with that. I mean, confidence is not something you just wake up and have, right? It's not the case of some people have and some people don't. It's something that you have to work on actively by stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new. That is how you become more confident. Because sometimes we see confident people and just think, oh, I wish I was that confident. But it's just, yeah, as you mentioned, you have to earn it as opposed to just having it and possessing all that confidence. It looks so easy, but it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, that's so true. It's definitely, confidence is something that is individual to everyone, and like you said, it's something that you have to work on. And although I've probably come a long way since 16 to 18-year-old Katherine, but nowadays still there are times where I think, oh my goodness, should I be in this room? Should I be doing this? So it's something that we all constantly work on, but that's also why it's really important to have a really supportive community around you, because you can always go back to those people and they will lift you up and go, no, you got this. Like, what are you talking about? You absolutely can do this. And I think community is such an underestimated power in terms of you achieving your goals and getting to where you want to go to.
That literally reminds me of the times where I used to go to these events and I literally would be the youngest in the room in every single event I would go to. And I used to have like a bit of imposter syndrome, to be honest. It took me quite a bit of courage to really try and approach the CEOs that were around me. And I was like, wow, do I really belong here? But everyone that I spoke to was like, you know what, like you're gonna have an amazing future. I see you're very bright, like you're gonna be amazing. And that really definitely helped in developing my confidence for sure. So Catherine, touching back on before you started your flight training, did you feel any pressure to follow that traditional route of going to university, or was it just like you just knew you wanted to go straight to aviation?
This is really funny because I actually never considered going to uni in my whole life, which is actually I was very fortunate. I went to a really great school and I loved my school. Like I loved all of it. Um, and yeah, I was the only one in my year who didn't go to uni. And yeah, which is really funny looking back. But I always knew that just my future laid outside of uni. I always wanted to go straight into work. I really, really wanted to do that. And we were talking a little bit about the podcast, and I shared that actually I always wanted to be a horse rider. I actually never wanted to go into aviation. So when I left school, I actually went straight into working as a rider. And I did that for a little bit before I got into aviation. So no, uni was never something I considered. Weirdly, I would do now is something that maybe I'd like to do in the future, is to go back and kind of further my education a little bit. My parents are amazing. Neither of my parents went to uni. My dad went straight into the Merchant Navy, actually, straight out of school. So neither of them pressured me in any way to go to uni if it wasn't right for me. My brother's gone to uni and he's done amazing. But no, it was never right for me. I never even considered it for a second. Even when I was young, like 10, like 9 or 10, she was never on the radar to even consider it, funnily enough.
And when all your friends went to university, did you ever feel like you had some type of FOMO, like feeling like you were left out or anything? Because I know for a fact that obviously I'm not going to university either. And all my friends are, and I felt a bit of like feeling a bit left out, kind of. I was like, am I really doing the right thing? So did that ever happen
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, 100%. It's hard to carve your own path. It is hard, but do you know what's harder? Is following a route that's not for you. So, always stay true to yourself and you will not go far wrong. And, with social media, and there's so many ways to stay connected nowadays. But you can only act and do what's right for you. And the thing is, uni nowadays, it is such a huge commitment. Financially, it's a massive investment. And if that's something that you really want to do and you see your future doing something with degree, fantastic, go for it. Like, absolutely support you in that all the way. But if you're not sure and you just want to take some time, even do it. Always follow your heart, follow your instincts, and you won't go far wrong.
That's really interesting that you said that you were one of the well, you was the only person in your school that didn't go to uni. My story is quite similar, so it's quite interesting that you're able to reach so far. And a lot of people think that in order to be someone or do something, you have to have a university degree. I think a lot of the time through sixth form and college, that's the kind of thing that's pushed onto you. Like if you want to do this, then you have to go uni, you have to go uni, you have to go uni. So it does take a lot of courage and confidence to like reject the status quo and forge your own path and follow your dreams. So that's really great. You mentioned that you wanted to be a horse rider. Are you still in tune with that passion now that you're a pilot, or is that something you left behind you?
Yeah, so again, we were just talking about this actually before the podcast started, but I've always ridden. I started riding when I was 3, and I think it's actually become, in a way, more important to me now through working in aviation and having quite a busy life and a busy job. I think it's so important to find things that really give you joy outside of aviation. So you can take some time away, you can let your brain kind of, percolate, you can let everything refresh and find hobbies or things that you do that really help you outside of aviation. This is something, and this is just me personally. This is something that's really helped me. My family are quite aviation oriented. My other half is a long haul pilot, so there's a lot of aviation going on. So it's quite nice to find something outside of aviation that really gives you, I don't know, just a space to just do something a little bit different. I think that's really important. And sport has always been that thing for me, whether it's riding, or now I do quite a lot of triathlons. So that's something that I've been doing a lot of training for. And again, it's been great to give me that mental space and to kind of take me out of my brain and into my body a little bit, which I think is important.
And touching a bit more on your journey in aviation, you was previously a Department of Transport Aviation Ambassador, which is quite the title. What kind of projects or initiatives were you most proud to be a part of? And what did you particularly learn from being surrounded by like-minded individuals within the aviation space during that time?
Oh my goodness, yeah. It was such an influential opportunity for me. And again, guys, this is a lesson. Always put yourself out there. Always put yourself forward to do something. I had absolutely, although I'd been in aviation, worked in lots of different roles at that point within the industry, had a pilot's license, I was, again, imposter syndrome. But always put yourself forward, always give it a go, because you just never know where it's going to lead you. And yeah, it was fantastic. It gave me such a great opportunity. It was a few years ago now, but it gave me such a great opportunity to have that visibility into sides of aviation that I never would have seen otherwise, and gave me a really good understanding for, if you do want to make systemic change in this industry, this is how you can do it. And, everyone says it's not what you know, it's who you know, which is very, very true. But I learned that the reason for that is you can watch some really impressive people operate in different levels of business, in government, in aviation, and see how they tackle situations. And to me, I think that's where I learned the most, was just sitting back and watching people and going, wow, how do they think about this? How are they going to tackle this situation? How do they speak to people? And I think that was honestly really important for my development in terms of business. But just a fantastic experience. Learned so much. If you're listening to this podcast and you're considering putting yourself forward for it, do it. Don't even hesitate, because even if you don't make it through this time, you will learn so much on the application process. It's always worth it.
And for those that don't know, what does the application process entail? Like, how long does it take?
Oh my
What
goodness. Yeah, so again, we're going back a little bit now for my time, but I believe it was a bit of an online form with some essay questions initially, but that process may have changed now. It will be on the Department for Transport website for any people who are looking into it, and they also post when it comes out on LinkedIn and probably on Instagram as well. So follow them on both those platforms, and you should see when the next lot come out. I think it's around September they open the applications, but that again is just from memory. So definitely, yeah, keep a lookout for that.
And how long is the role for?
So it's for 1 year, and you can only serve 2 terms. So I did the 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And what kind of things were you involved in during your time as aviation ambassador?
So it's very, very varied. Most of the time, you're talking about lots of different initiatives, mostly around STEM and getting young people involved in aviation. Lots of different conversations about how you can tackle that, and working with various different departments, giving them feedback on initiatives that they're working on, and also putting things forward and potentially seeing where you can work with them. But I'm hesitant to say too much because I'm conscious it probably has changed a little bit from when I was an ambassador. So I don't want to be feeding people false information here.
And so touching back on Elevate Her, you are the founder. Congratulations on all the work you have done with Elevate Her. It's an amazing community for many women around the world. What inspired you to launch Elevate Her Aviation?
Yeah, so again, it was really from my own personal experience of wanting to meet other women. You know, as you mentioned earlier, I got my helicopter license when I was 19. I got my fixed wing license when I was 23, and during that time, I never met another female student pilot, or instructor or examiner. And yeah, it wasn't to detract from all the amazing men that I had supporting me because my instructors were amazing. They're both guys and they were fantastic. Obviously my dad's been a huge role model and mentor for me, and there are so many great men who supported me in my life and in my career, but I really wanted to connect with other like-minded women and learn from them and learn about their journeys and just connect on that level. I do think it is quite different speaking to other women. So what I decided to do, and again it was pretty rogue of me, to be fair, because talk about imposter syndrome and lack of confidence, that I really wasn't an events girl when I decided to go ahead and do this. But I've really deeply felt that it was important that we connect more women in this industry. So put out an open invitation. And it's, yeah, in 2022, July 2022, for any women in aviation all over the UK. Hired out a room at my local airfield, which was Brighton City Airport, where I learnt to fly. Got a plate of sandwiches. Bought a new suit. Made my mum come with me because I was so scared no one would turn up. And yeah, just basically waited and to see what happened. And I was so fortunate that day we had 40 women attend, and the atmosphere was just amazing. It was electric. Everyone was connecting and talking, and I was like, wow, this is such a vibe. This is so wonderful. And then I was sitting down after that event, and the first thing I said was, never let me host an event ever again, which clearly clearly did not work out. And the second thing, I was like, oh, this has got to be made real, which is both of them are very conflicting statements that I made. But I really wanted to make it real and tangible and something that could really be of use to people. So I went away, that was in July. Over the rest of the summer, autumn, winter, came up with Elevate Her, built the website. I also uploaded a lot of information up onto the website because I thought everything was quite hard to find in aviation in terms of where you can look for scholarships, or just basic information about how to get into careers or what licensing looks like. There's just so many questions that I think people really struggle to answer because the information is not readily available. So put all of that together, and then launched in May 2023. So yeah, it's been a fun journey.
So Elevate Her Aviation now has members in 144 countries and has a growing team of 35 people. What challenges do you feel come with leading a global team? And also, how do you manage your own flying with running an international organization?
Wow. Yeah, it's a great question. So, firstly, the team is crucial to everything. The team are so important. They do so much. And yeah, of course, there are challenges with, managing a big team of people. But honestly, all of the women involved, they are amazing. They're phenomenal women. They are so switched on. They feel so passionately about this subject, and they're so ready to, give up their time and get involved. And that's just so special. And I think it just speaks to how many amazing women we have in this industry. So I feel very fortunate, to be honest, because although, yeah, okay, sometimes it can feel like a lot, of course. Like, I'm sure everyone feels like that with their job sometimes. I'm so fortunate to work with such amazing women every single day who inspire me and inspire everyone around them. So actually, they make my life very, very easy, I'll be honest. And, in terms of managing my flying, yeah, it's been really hard. Like, my flying has definitely taken a substantial hit over the last 3 years. But that's okay. Look, that is okay. Things move and change in life. Sometimes you have loads of time to dedicate to your own flying and to your own things, and then sometimes work takes over, and it's just a balance. It's finding a balance. And I know at this point in my life that I have to dedicate more time to my work and to elevate her, and that's absolutely fine. I've made peace with that. I mean, as much as I'd love to go flying every single day, sometimes these things are just not feasible, and that's fine too. So yeah, but look, I'm very grateful that I work in aviation. I get to talk about it every day anyway.
Honestly, Catherine, your story is so inspiring. From hearing the fact that you were quite shy when you were younger to now you being able to adapt to change and hosting many events is really, really inspiring for those that obviously are listening to the podcast. If you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give to her?
Yeah, there's a few things I'd want to say. Um, Probably one of them is keep going, keep going. Even if, I heard a saying the other day, which is like, if you have 20% and that's all you've got to give on that one day and you give 20%, you've given 100%. And that's what I'd want to say to my younger self is like, keep going every day. Even if you've only got 5% to give to something, give that 5%. And you will get there. And secondly, I want to tell her, and this is like not, I don't want this to come across in a bad way, but I just want to say like, nobody cares as much as you do. Like, nobody's as invested in your story as much as you are. Like, it's okay. Post the thing, go to the event, talk to the person, because actually, at the end of the day, no one really, everyone's so invested in their own things and what they're doing in a day. And if they see a post when, they're on, TikTok or Instagram, whatever, they're probably, you see it, like it, not like it, scroll past it. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And I would definitely want to tell her that. I say, look, ultimately, nobody cares. And I mean that in in the most positive sense as well.
That's great advice. I think a lot of the time we have a lot of fear of doing things because we think people are watching us much more than they actually are, or thinking about us much more than they actually are. So
Yeah,
that's really great advice. I mean, you might think, oh, maybe my friends would watch this and say this, or this person would watch and say this. Yeah, nobody really cares that much. As you said, they can scroll past it, they can like it, dislike, whatever the case may be. It's never that deep, right? Just post it, just get yourself out there, go speak to that person, go do that thing. Get out of your head. Don't be in your head so much and be overthinking about all these things. So that's brilliant advice. Thank you
exactly.
for sharing that. So, looking ahead, both in your flying career and with Elevate Her Aviation, what's next? What's next for you?
Ooh, great question. I mean, look, with my flying, I just want to have fun. I want to fly when I've got time to fly and enjoy it and just love it and do it for me. And yeah, my goal is purely to experience and learn as much as I can and just enjoy it. And yeah, that's the goal. With Elevate Her, I mean, who knows? It was quite funny when I launched it. I was like, I'm going to write a 5-year plan and a year plan. I'm going to stick to it every single step of the way. But the thing is, actually, we kind of like went through the 5-year plan at like before a year. So from that point onwards, I was like, we just got to see how it goes and monitor it. Every 6 months, let's see where we are. Do we need to pivot? Are we doing the right thing? Are our community liking this? So the I guess the kind of answer to that is watch this space. We do have a few exciting things coming very soon, which I'll be excited for you guys to particularly to see and get involved with. But yeah, you just got to keep going back to the community, keep asking them, do you like this? What would you like? What would help you? What would make you feel more supported? What would make you feel more empowered? What's going to make you go after that job or take that first flight or go for that degree or go for that, engineering, whatever you're going for, what's going to make you feel in the best place to do that? So that's what we'll do. We'll keep going back, asking the community and yeah, keep striving forward.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, Itana already said that your story is so inspiring. It has certainly touched us. We've both been to quite a few Elevate Her events, and they are very incredible. Being surrounded by so many inspiring women, the atmosphere is amazing. I think the community is amazing. So big congratulations on what you've achieved so far. You're really making such a big difference to young women like ourselves. So we are very, very grateful. And it seems like everything around you is about aviation. Like you said even like your partner's a pilot. Like, do you ever have time where you just switch off and be like, okay, that's it. I'm going into spaces where I'm not the founder, I'm not a pilot, I'm not anything to do with aviation, I'm just like Katherine. Do you ever switch off like that? Are you ever just like
Yeah.
regular Katherine?
Yeah, I don't need to touch grass more, I think, maybe. Um, no, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, I think it's super tough, and you guys will know. Obviously, you started this podcast, and you know, you guys are businesswomen. You're doing your thing, and you'll know that you'll be obsessed about it and thinking about it every single waking moment, and that's what it is. That is what being a founder or a CEO or a director of a company. That is what it looks like to everyone. So yeah, it's super hard to switch off, but I love Elevate Her. Like, I love it so much. It's my passion. I love thinking about it. I love obsessing over it. But I think I've learned, particularly in the last year, it's so important to take that space away, because sometimes you get so into the weeds with it. You're looking at the minutiae and you're like, okay, I need to get some headspace. I need to see the big picture here, because it's very mentally draining. So, as I've touched on already, sport has always been so important for me as an outlet. And I've got into doing triathlon over the last year. In September, I'm doing my first half Ironman,
Wow,
which is a big,
congratulations.
well,
Congratulations.
we'll see. We'll see if I get round it first. But, for me, that was a decision to commit to doing regular training and prioritizing getting that space, going outside in nature, going out on a bike, going for a swim, going open water swimming, really pushing my boundaries in a different way, physically, but also mentally in a slightly different way. My swimming is not strong. It's my first experience doing open water, and I've found that really mentally kind of overwhelming. So working through that has also been a really nice challenge that's so far apart from aviation. So yeah, I honestly think it's so vital to have something outside, whether you just go for a run or go for a walk or, get on a bike or, throw yourself in a pool or a lake or something. I think it's just really important to get out of your brain and, into your body. So yeah, but no, it can be tough to take time away, because obviously we all want everything to work out the best. And I see all the women at these events, and I'm so grateful to you guys for coming to our events, and you're both amazing, and I would never want to let you guys down, you know? So it is hard to step away from it, but it's also really, really important.
Completely agree. I mean, having this podcast and going to many, many aviation events and still going to events, it can be quite tough to obviously not shut down, but turn off and like relax and kind of like put your brain at ease. Thank you so much, Catherine, for coming on the podcast. It has been an absolute honor to have you on this episode today.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for having me. Honestly, like I've enjoyed this so much, and you're both so incredible. Like, I just hope everything you do, I know, will go amazing. And yeah, it's just such a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Katherine. So that is it for today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Fly With Her podcast.
And don't forget to tune in, take off, and fly with her.
See you in the next episode. Bye.